Test. Test.
Coming through.
So online, we have some technical difficulties and we'll be online shortly. Wander around if you'd like. here, though. For those online, we are still on break and we are online. technical difficulties. For those online, we're going to have to postpone due to technical difficulties until 7 o'clock.
quick test of the mic. Sounds like I can hear myself, so you guys should hear me. With that, Mr. Smith, will you lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Hall, would you read the land acknowledgement?
We would like to acknowledge that the city and borough of Juneau is on Tlingit land and wish to honor the indigenous people of this land. For more than 10,000 years, Alaska Native people have been and continue to be integral to the well-being of our community. We are grateful to be in this place, a part of this community, and to honor the culture, traditions, and resilience of the Tlingit people. Gunesh Chish.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Madam Clerk, will you call roll?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Deputy Mayor Smith,
Here.
Ms. Hughes Candies,
Here.
Ms. Wall,
Present.
Mr. Kelly,
Here.
Ms. Adkisson,
Here.
Mr. Steininger,
Here.
Ms. Hall.
Here.
A quorum is present.
I'm here too. And we'll be hearing from Mr. Burke shortly, so. Anyway, with that, we have a special order of business. Mr. Smith, you want to come help me? Carry your mic. All right, so we have some exchange students, and I'll have you guys come up. And we also have, if he's still here, is Mr. DeWitt still here? Okay, we're supposed to have Rotary exchange students too, but, oh, there he is. Sorry, didn't see you. Come on up. First of all, we'll start with you, Mr. DeWitt, who is the youth exchange officer from Rotary.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have two exchange students here this year, Gabriella from your Rotary Club, the Glacier Valley Club, and Yvonne from our club. Yvonne is from France, Gabriella is from Italy. They are both on their way to Project Amigo. So they couldn't be here this evening. We apologize for that. Project Amigo is a project in Colima, Mexico, where the kids are, well, the folks that go down help educate the children of migrant farm workers so that they won't be migrant farm workers, that they can grow up to have a better life. So it's giving our exchange students the opportunity to go out and do a service project, and they'll be back a week from tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And I was going to say, if you want to know more about Project Amigo, talk to your local Rotary clubs because we have 4 of them and we're always looking for new members. So with that, we'll bring up our AFS students. Come on up. You guys have to come up. We won't bite, promise. And if you'll help them with their mic. So Daniel, Ray, and Tulich, close enough. So we're going to ask you your name, so pronounce it better than I can, where you're from, and what's your favorite American food so far?
All right. First of all, apologies for my language.
You're fine.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Weldon and Deputy Mayor Smith and the Assembly members and the honorable guests. My name is Ray. I'm here proud representing Indonesia with the exchange program of Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange Study. And I'm here being an exchange student who are currently at Juneau Douglas High School. And for my favorite food, so far it's been baked salmon. And it was very nice. I really like it.
Yeah. You came to the right town for salmon.
My name is Tulit Tiak. I'm from Queensland. I'm an exchange student in Juneau. So my favorite American food is the hamburger.
Good. And we just met a delegation from Greenland, so some of your country folks were just here, so.
Hello, I am Daniel. I am from Spain. My favorite food so far from United States, I think so, is the salmon from Alaska is amazing.
Well, thank you all. So, and then we ask all of the audience to give you a nice hand to welcome you. And then if you would come down the line and shake everybody's hand, we'd appreciate that. Your English is far better than my Indonesian.
better speakers than I am.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice job.
Welcome.
Thanks. 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 Yeah.
And you folks can leave anytime you want to. You don't have to stay the whole meeting. We're used to people coming and going. Our next item of business is swearing in of our new assembly member and some of our old assembly members. So, Madam Attorney.
I'll stand here and I'll have you all raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Alaska and the laws of the city and borough of Juneau and the state of Alaska. And that I will faithfully, honestly, and promptly perform the duties of the office of Assembly Member. Congratulations.
And now, Madam Clerk, Mr. Brooks is here. But we'll be doing that next. So next we go into roll call.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Deputy Mayor Smith,
Here.
Ms. Hughes Candies,
Here.
Ms. Wall,
Present.
Mr. Kelly,
Here.
Atkinson,
Here.
Mr. Steininger,
Here.
Ms. Hall,
Here.
Mr. Brooks,
Here.
Madam Mayor,
Here, thank you.
quorum is present.
All right, next we have election of deputy mayor. Ms. Hughes Candies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I nominate Mr. Smith for deputy mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes Candies. Is there any more nominations? Seeing none, are there any objections to Mr. Smith remaining to be deputy mayor? Seeing none, he is deputy mayor. Congratulations or condolences, Mr. Smith. So next we go by order of seniority on seats, and I know a couple of you said that you might want to change your seat. So the deputy mayor is stuck with me, but Ms. Hughes Candies would pick whichever seat you want. So kick Mr. Brooks out of his seat. Next we have Ms. Wall. The two troublemakers on the end. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. I'd like to sit next to Mr. Smith.
Okay. Ms. Atkinson. All right, thank you. Mr. Steininger. Thank you, Ms. Hall.
And I'm good where I am.
Mr. Brooks, that's where you have landed. So. All right, next we're going to approval of minutes. Mr. Kelly.
I move that we approve the September 22nd, 2025 regular assembly minutes and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that is approved. Those minutes are approved. Next, we go to manager's request for agenda changes. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two for you tonight. The first one is in the packet. This is the removal of public hearing item number 4, which is ordinance 2025-01 BM. You'll recall that this was a ordinance that was introduced alongside a near identical ordinance related to the funding of renovations to support the CCFR Sobering Center at the St. Vincent de Paul Teal Street facility. This one is duplicative, the primary difference being the funding sources. Since the publication of the agenda, Bartlett Regional Hospital has approved full funding for the renovations, making the use of general funds unnecessary, which this ordinance is relevant to. So that's my first request, is to pull that one from the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Mr. Smith.
No objection to that.
No.
Do I need to move that?
Madam Attorney,
You just did.
I think we just did.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we thought, but we weren't sure.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Next one is under new business K. You have a recommendation from staff to protest a restaurant eating place liquor license, number 816, renewal of El Sombrero. The only outstanding issue with this protest was payment of fees, those fees have been received. Payment of sales tax, remittance of sales tax. That sales tax has been received, so I recommend you move this item from new business to consent, and along with all the other liquor licenses under consent, staff do not protest those on the consent, those that are listed on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Next, we have public participation on non-agenda items, and I have the list here, and because there's less of you this time, you will each have 2 minutes. So we will start with Carol Bookless. And as she's making her way, we had nobody sign up before 4 o'clock on Zoom, so we don't have any Zoom participants. So Ms. Bookless, you have 2 minutes. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record.
Okay, my name is Carol Bookless and I live in Douglas. So basically I signed up to talk about Telephone Hill, but I think what's happening at Telephone Hill is a symptom of a larger issue. And that is the housing crisis. I was really surprised because I wanted to see how bad it was. So I looked on the assessor's database map, which is fantastic. And I found that we have over 100 million square feet of land owned by CBJ that is designated for residential development. That's enough land for everyone in Juneau to have a whole second house. So why do we have a housing crisis? That land is there, ready to be developed or to be divided up into lots and sold to people. So we are removing the people from Telephone Hill, and there's a whole bunch of funny stuff that I have a hard time with. One is that the houses on Telephone Hill are valued at about $100,000, according to the assessor's database. When I do what an appraiser would do, which is to go around and look at similar houses of the same age, same location, same size, I think they should be worth at least $3 million. The same with the land. It's maybe worth $200,000 for that piece of land, according to the assessor's database. It should be worth $5 million if you compare it to the lot right next door. That if we, look at some of the other things, there's only like a 45,000 square feet available to build on that lot. And you want to put 150,000 square feet of apartments on it. So minimum is going to be three stories, probably higher, especially if you want to put commercial on the first floor. There's just not enough room. It doesn't make sense, but it sounds like there's my time. But the last thing I want to say is that I understood that citizens didn't care about this area, but they do. They really do. They want it saved.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Tony Tangs and Joe Kaplan is after him. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Am I on? Yes, thank you. I'm Tony Tangs and I live downtown. I was at your September 12th meeting 3 years ago and testified about my concerns regarding ordinance 2022-06 BK, which you are voting on to commit $100,000 to start the planning process to redevelop Telephone Hill. I was concerned then that there hadn't been enough public participation in the process. And then you, Assemblyman Smith, asked City Manager Rory Watt if he could provide a summary of the planning process and timelines involved. And he did. Do you recall what he said? I got this from the minutes. In addition to the standard redevelopment process he related, he said that the range of options developed would certainly include a do-nothing option and leave the houses as they are today. I'm going to say that again. He said that the range of options developed would certainly include a do-nothing option and leave the houses as they are today. Your votes for that funding ordinance were partly based on his assurance to us that the range of options developed would certainly include the do-nothing option that we never saw. What happened? Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for Mr. Tangs? And I'm sorry, I forgot to ask if there was any questions for Ms. Bookless. Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Joe Kaplan and Mary Ann McKean is after him. Is Mr. Kaplan still here? Am I saying that name right? There we go. Sorry. Can't read your handwriting, sir. Is he here? Okay, after that, we have Mary Ann McKean. Please state your name and for the record and area of town you live in. Sure. And you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Joe Carson. I live at 203 West 3rd Street. That's on Telephone Hill, right atop the green crown of America's most beautiful capital city. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the 847 people that have signed this petition, which I will read to you. The petition is to ask the CBJ to pause the eviction and the demolition of Telephone Hill until the Assembly has a credible plan for the Hill's future, including the costs and benefits. I am a Juneau resident and of voting age. For sure. Okay, thank you very much. I think I might have some more comments later, but we have a lot of people here that have things to say. We'll give them a chance to speak. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Carson? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Mary Ann McKean and Larry Talley is following her.
This is on. Good evening. My name is Mary Alice McKean. I've lived in downtown Juneau since 1978. I am one of the 847 people who are asking you to pause the evictions and the demolition of Telephone Hill until you have a credible plan for the Hill's future. The city's current plan is, if you demolish it, they will come. That is not a misstatement. That is the city's current plan.
And who is supposed to come are developers who will build 150 units of housing on Telephone Hill at a cost that the city can afford to support and that people in Juneau can afford to rent and buy. That is not a credible plan, and I will give just 3 of the reasons. First, the city has conducted and the consultant has conducted no geotechnical analysis to show that the site can support 4 buildings with 150 units of housing. The city could very well demolish these residences, which include the oldest continuously occupied house in Alaska, only to find out that, whoops, you cannot build the project that you destroyed those residents to build. Demolition is forever. Do the analysis first. Second, the immediate cost to the city is $5.5 million for demolition, but the project also requires a road to be built at the cost of $3.5 million. The staff's assumption is that, quote, a developer, unquote, will pay the cost of the road. You received no response to your RFI that a builder would pay that. The record has no solid evidence that a builder will pay the cost of the road. And third, there are better places to build. Please consider 450 Whittier. The city owns it. There aren't people living on it. It's flat.
Ms.
It would
McKean,
be
we
far
have to have you
cheaper
wrap
to
up.
build than any other place. Thank you. Sorry I went over.
Any questions for Ms. McKean? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next, we have Larry Talley and then Joshua Adams. If you're holding a sign that's bigger than 11 by 13, we asked you to step in the back so you're not blocking anybody's view. Thank you. Mr. Talley, go ahead. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Larry Talley, I live in the Flats. I guess you could call that downtown Juneau. So I want to thank all of you for your service to the community. I appreciate that you have a difficult job. Your upcoming demolition of Telephone Hill will erase 15 housing units. There's 7 houses, 3 of them are multifamily. After reducing Juneau's housing by 15 units, you're hoping to interest a developer in building high-density housing on a difficult site in challenging market conditions. Your own Juneau Telephone Hill market analysis, feasibility analysis, and development strategy, published in 2024, says, and this is a quote, both the specifics of the site and the general state of development in Juneau make it a very expensive place to develop, close quote. And further, another quote, there is no scenario that breaks even. And that's the end of the quote. It probably isn't getting any easier since 2024. I understand that it has recently become very expensive to dispose of construction waste at our landfill. It is magical thinking to believe that you are improving Juneau's housing situation by destroying 15 housing units on a site that is a very expensive place to develop. Please stop the bulldozers, pause the evictions, and reconsider. Please don't destroy these historic buildings. Demolition is forever. Don't spend limited city funds on an unrealistic dream. Don't make Juneau's housing situation worse. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Talley. Any questions for Mr. Talley? Hearing none. Next, we have Joshua Adams, and following Mr. Adams, we have Jackie Farmsworth. So please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
My name is Joshua Adams, and I am an incremental developer. I come here representing the tradespeople of Juneau, and especially the one of us that's just been ordained into this office. Thank you so much for your service, Nano. We welcome you to the assembly. I don't think that the city government here gets everything wrong, and I find myself sometimes criticizing you guys a little bit too harshly. But I have to say, Telephone Hill is emblematic of almost everything that is wrong with CBJ government. I've been doing this gig, flipping houses, convincing people to live in them, old houses, dealing with history for almost 3 decades now. It takes me 3 to 5 years to do one house, and sometimes I do one overlapping. I recently bought a house that is in far worse condition than anything on Telephone Hill. And I'm betting a year of my own salary that I can save it. That house was an unquestionable teardown, just like the last 3 things I bought. I swear to you that I will fix it up and I will have someone living in there within 2 years. That's the commitment that it takes when it's your money and it's your time and your effort. And you look a lot like me. This is my work outfit. Those are the people that you need to save Telephone Hill, and those are the people that you need to rescue Juneau from the present housing crisis. It's not the government's job to build you your house. I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know that people are harping in your ear that we're in the middle of a housing crisis, but it's much more complicated than that. It's much deeper than housing, and you cannot build your way out of this. You need to regulate the short-term housing market badly. That will give you more than 250 units right there. You might get 155, you think, out of Telephone Hill. You're not going to get that many. But you can get hundreds if you regulate, and that's government's job. Thank you for listening.
Any questions for Mr. Adams? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Jackie Farnsworth and then Paige Bridges. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
I'm Jackie Farnsworth, and I live in Douglas at the harbor. I'm here because this is a precious historic place, and it has a house on it built by Edward Webster in 1882. It was put in the Alaska Archives as a, I can't read right, records management noted that using the National Register criteria, it has the qualifications for a historic district. We all know this. We know how precious this place is. We all are experiencing what this awful president is doing to the White House. Think about that one. He's destroyed all kinds of history. And to me, this reminds me of what's happening there. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for Ms. Farnsworth? Seeing none, Ms. Bridges, please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Paige Bridges, downtown on Carroll Way. And I talked to the Alaska Historical Commission last week, Amy Helmbrich, and she told me that she reached out to the Coast Guard to find out what their plans are, and they are very interested in Telephone Hill. And she said, for the Coast Guard, they need to have the houses remain standing to do the Section 106 historic review. The reason for that is the Coast Guard knows that they can't build there without federal funds, obviously. And the city has this workaround developed idea that they can partner the Coast Guard with somebody else, like Parks and Rec or somebody rather, anybody, and then get away with not doing the historic review. So Ms. Helmbrich said that would not work. She said that your intent is a matter of public record, so it could be litigated. And I guarantee you it would be litigated. We have, you see, 847 people, but we have many people, and many people with a lot of money in this town who hate the idea of destroying Telephone Hill. All classes, all political stripes, everybody hates that. One of my friends wrote me and said, keep fighting for Telephone Hill. The city is making me angry over this issue. They are not listening to what the people want. People think that. Oh, back to the Coast Guard. So I'm begging you, please delay the evictions for at least this 3 months that it takes to do that review. And in the meantime, perhaps we can all together, our group and other people, come up with a plan that will make everybody happy and keep the present tenants in the houses and possibly allow the tenants to buy them. After all, some of them have maintained Telephone Hill for 40 years or sometimes less, but they have done a great service. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Bridges? Thank you for your testimony tonight. Next, we have Kim Metcalf and then Bruce Simonson. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the Assembly. My name is Kim Metcalf. I live at the top of Gold Street in the Basin Road neighborhood. I'm here to plead with you to reverse your decision to bulldoze Telephone Hill. You have a lot to deal with in this coming year because of the passage of the ballot propositions. I might note that I opposed those, but I'm asking you to do the right thing and take Telephone Hill off of your to-do list. Sell the homes as is and give the current tenants the right of first refusal. Use the $5 to $9 million that we've talked about for fire and safety, education, and to keep our recreational facilities open. And I am one of the 847 also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Metcalf? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Bruce Simonson and then Caitlin Riley. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
My name is Bruce Simonson. I live downtown in Star Hill. I'm here, thanks first for having this opportunity to talk with you tonight. I'm here to ask you to stop the bulldozers from demolishing Telephone Hill. I find a couple of things, 2 things a little weird about this process, and one of them is actually a bonus for you, or I think a plus. I think you've bypassed normal process on this. You issued an RFI initially and got very tepid response on it. Then you decided that, well, let's evict people, spend $5.5 million and level the property. But you didn't send out an RFI on that. You don't know if there is a community, if the development community is going to process that. Your simple route is just to do an RFI and see if you have any takers for 150 units on Telephone Hill. It's really easy. Just say, we need to do that to make sure that we have developers interested in this project. It's an easy win. The other thing that I find, and I think you should do it, because if you don't do it, I think you've bypassed the normal process. The other thing is a little weird is that I think it's strange that you're not listening to other options for Telephone Hill. I know that you're trying to solve the housing problem, but separate that from Telephone Hill. It doesn't have to be conflated. You can find another place, and you know there are other places that are options for building houses. Ask the community what we should do. In the process of looking at and working on this petition, I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people said, oh, please don't do that. And some people said, oh, there they go again. And some people said, there's probably something else that we don't know going on. All of that stuff fed into like lots of good ideas. I think there's a plan that satisfies 6 different stakeholders groups: the assembly, the state, the local population, the mining folks, the tourism industry. There's another one here too. I think it can be done. So what I want you to do is realize that 847 people said, don't do this. I found only 9 that say, do it. That's you. 847 people to 9, they don't do it. So anyway, thank you for your attention. I appreciate the hard work that you do.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Simonson? Mr. Brooks?
What is the plan or option that you said would satisfy the multiple bodies as an alternative?
Well, crucial to that, I think, is think of Telephone Hill as an opportunity. It's an asset of the community. There are things that you can do on Telephone Hill that will make it a wonderful spot. Certainly people can live there. For less money than you've already spent, you can fix up the houses, put in heat pumps, give them a little bit of love. The houses that are occupied there, they're in good shape. They really are in good shape. How did they last 100 years? How did that happen? It's because they have good bones and the people who live there maintained it.
Actually, not answering the question anymore. You're testifying.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, so what should we do? We should develop it as an area, as a historic district. The tourism industry would like it. The mining district would like it because that's the history of that hill. governments like, you should like it because it's a good solution. The state will heave a sigh of relief because it was taken by eminent domain and it's now going back into private sector. Wonder about that. I just think, and so this is not the right time to discuss all of that, but there are many ideas and I'm not the only one with them. I encourage you to open a dialogue saying, what can we do with this remarkable asset that we have called Telephone Hill? Let's solve the problem of housing somewhere else. I think that can be done. Thank you.
Next, we have, thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Caitlin Riley and Michael Busey. I should know how to say that. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Riley, and I live in downtown Juneau, and I'm here in opposition of the demolition and redevelopment of Telephone Hill. Before making any irrevocable decisions, I urge the council to make a hard look at this project and how it really stands. There's no secured contractor, and the city has not taken a realistic look at what the final cost will be to the residents of Juneau and the people who are really going to be paying for this project. Many people I've spoken to do not understand why the demolition is being considered when there's no firm and final plan in place. The city is willing to spend millions of dollars tearing down occupied houses when I cannot even get critical access stairs completed at the other end of 3rd Street for myself and my neighbors, which are currently slowly collapsing every day. And this was supposed to be replaced 2 summers ago. We've all heard the promise of affordable housing, but without a contractor, funding, or binding guarantees, this promise is just words. We've already seen this with the so-called affordable condos near Fred Meyer's, which ended up being priced beyond reach for most people of Juneau, including myself, a working professional with a master's degree, which could never afford even a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. And even today, KTO reported a story of the loss of 72-unit apartment building downtown because of developmental issues, according to the developer. We can't afford to keep losing housing while chasing plans that never really deliver into real affordability for the actual residents of Juneau, not people who want to rent things out for Airbnbs or are making multi-$100,000 a year. Telephone Hill is not just a piece of land. It's one of the oldest residential areas in Juneau. The homes that tell the story of the city's earliest days of people who built this community from the ground up. Once those homes are gone, they are gone forever. We cannot bulldoze our history and then hope to rebuild it as in place later. I urge the council to secure a contractor, secure the funding, secure and enforceable guarantees for genuine affordable housing before taking any further steps and looking at what areas of town would actually be a better fit for this. I just say, preserve what makes Juneau unique, protect our history, because we, the people of Juneau, demand accountability before demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Riley? Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Michael Busey and then Susan Clark. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Michael Busey and I live downtown. And thank you to the Assembly for the work you do. I am asking tonight that you reconsider the momentum of taking, demolishing Telephone Hill. I understand the excitement to do something, and housing is a problem. I totally recognize it. But just doing something is not good enough, considering the impact this is having on our neighbors who live there. This is a weighty decision. And from my perspective, it feels very pell-mell and oblique or opaque. What is the plan is the question that I have not heard clearly and has not been made clear by the Assembly to the community. As you can see, the list of signatures shows that there's a number of citizens that are still very concerned about this. And it really is your job as representatives of the people to make it clear what the path is, what the vision is. You cannot undo this act that you propose. So why, if there is no plan? I lived with my family on Telephone Hill in 2005, then from 2008 to 2019. A beautiful time. My children enjoyed very much of their childhood there in this wonderful place. And I'm mystified. I respect and admire our mayor and assembly, but I am mystified. I've yet to hear a logical explanation of how this multi-million-dollar shot in the dark is a solid idea for our community. The will of the people is clear, and it seems to be being ignored. I support increased affordable housing, but there is no guaranteed housing here. There is no rebuttal to most of these concerns that I have heard. There is only overambitious, reckless demolition as far as I can see. Prove me wrong. I guess as Charlie Kirk would say that. But it needs, in my mind, it needs to stop. You need to reconsider and explain it more clearly what the future is. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions? Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Susan Clark and then Skip Gray.
My name is Susan Clark. I live in the Flats. And our needed city funds are being recklessly hemorrhaged. The 5.5 million is just to demolish the multifamily homes and 12 apartments. That's the size of one block in the Flats, which is generally 10 households, which is how many households live on the hill. And I believe you voted not to include in that 5.5 the cost of toxic waste disposal. There was the 9 million that was available back in June for road changes. 52 million is the projected total cost of the project. And there has been 500,000 a year coming out of 1% sales tax since 2022 through 2028 for an extra $2 million. A consultant's fee of $72,000 ended in December 2024 and then ballooned to an extra $500,000 during 2 6-month extensions and a third extension expected through June 2026. If you can extend your costly consultants, you can grant a single 6-month extension through winter to residents and to protect the homes. The only work that has not been done is the foundation of the whole project, the basic engineering and geotechnical analysis to prove that proposed apartments can even be built on the hill's narrow eastern ridge with steep east-west slope and nearly vertical drop-offs on each side. The geotech person that is supposed to, the engineering part of the consultants, they've only done 35% of their work. They have 65% more to go. And I don't know how that's being financed. Sell the houses, bring income into the city, and you don't have to hemorrhage it out anymore. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for Ms. Clark? Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Skip Gray and then Nancy Spear. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record.
Skip
and-
Gray, I live in the Twin Lakes area.
Yeah, you have 2 minutes.
I get the feeling that when you guys look at Telephone Hill, that you just see a bunch of kind of dilapidated old houses. Having lived there for 10 years, about 40 years ago, I see it as a beautiful neighborhood with a bunch of old houses that could be beautiful again. And it's not just the houses, it's the surrounding hill with its vegetation, some of which is basically antique plants, that could be beautiful again. It's a little overgrown now, but I hope you can understand why it might have gone downhill a bit, since only the basic maintenance has been done on it by the current landlords and by the past landlords. but it could be beautiful again. It could be an attraction. It could be something people have pride in. I have a friend who was just traveling in France and Germany, and she was sending me all these pictures of castles and whole villages that are hundreds of years old. It helps they're made of rock. But we don't have a lot of history in Juneau. The mines have all kind of been torn down. There just isn't much visually to see of our history. But Telephone Hill is all we've got. And it could be a shining light in the history of Juneau. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Gray? Next, we have Nancy Spear and then Paul Burke, I think. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Spear, and I live on Fritz Cove. I'm the out the road contingent. My concern is that I haven't heard a plan, and that I agree that Telephone Hill is a beautiful place and can be made more beautiful. I haven't heard a plan other than tearing down homes. There are more than 250 registered Airbnbs in this town. I used to have one. They're too much work. You can't get anybody to clean. And I didn't retire just to clean houses. But there's 250 registered Airbnbs, and a lot of them are in places that were designated as low-income housing and affordable housing. And so my question to the Assembly is, how are you going to ensure that this beautiful prime property, Telephone Hill, will continue to be for Juneau residents? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for Ms.? All right, next we have Paul Burke. Please state your name and area of town you live in for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
My name is Paul Burke, and I'm currently staying up on top of the hill, trying to help some friends move. But, everybody's talking about technical stuff. This is kind of killing me because I'm watching friends that are emotionally just, you're wrecking them, you're killing them. I'm serious. People that are going to the hospital with heart problems, people that are just, they're emotionally just, so they're going through all this stuff that people have been up there for 50 years of their lives that are pillars of this community. I mean, I had a friend of mine who used to take his snowplow and plow Twin Lakes for the kids. He was the Forrest Gump of the Twin Lakes kind of. And his four-wheeler went through the ice a couple of times and they had to come rescue him. There's people up there, the history of these people that are pillars of the community. Jeff Brown, who looked for the radio station and everybody. And I don't think, Beth may be the only person here on the board that's been around, and you and Juneau too. 2 people on the board that have been around Juneau, and everybody else don't come from here. But I mean, I crying every night. I just don't want to see my friends die. And you're making decisions that are making people sick. I mean, it's just terrible. Terrible. And then, the history. Why don't you take the telephone office up there and turn it into a historic museum and have communication with Douglas, and the tourists will eat it up. The tourists eat it. I've seen people up there that has his business up there, and tourists go by and he takes time to tell them about the history, and he takes time to be with the tourists to help out the tourism industry. And it's just like, it's a shame, don't be shameful. Your lives, you're taking responsibility of killing people with this decision you're hurting them. It's just hurting people, and it's not right. Sorry, and thank you.
Thank you for your
You're all
testimony.
beautiful people. I'm not saying that. It's the decision that's being made that's really hurt people.
Thank you for your testimony. I'm just going to remind the public and the assembly that we will be discussing Telephone Hill on our committee of the whole with the deputy mayor on November 3rd. So hopefully we can let our plan be known and answer some of the questions that have been out there with that. So with that, we go to our consent agenda. Is there any public request for consent agenda changes other than ordinances for introduction? Seeing none, is there any assembly request for consent agenda changes? Seeing none, assembly action, Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the consent agenda as presented and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, the consent agenda is moved. No. With that, we'll go to public testimony. Item 1, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase e, an ordinance transferring $3,500,000 from CIP H 51-113 Waterfront Seawalk to P 41-105 Marine Park Improvements.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This ordinance would transfer $3 million of state marine passenger fee funds from the Waterfront Seawalk CIP to the Marine Park Improvement CIP. This transfer would provide funding for the most recent project estimate. The original transfer amount requested was $3.5 million, but was reduced during the Public Works and Facilities Committee action on September 8th, 2025, then subsequently adjusted to $3 million during the September 29th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. Resolution 4030 would amend the amount in the ordinance title from 3.5 million to 3 million. The current project work is estimated to be 10 million. Sufficient funds will remain in the Waterfront CIP for currently anticipated work. The Marine Park Improvement CIP is an eligible use of passenger fees. The manager recommends the assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Manager. Madam Clerk, I don't think we saw any public. Yeah, let's just double check. Thank you. So we have no public testimony on this item. Ms. Hughes Candies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Assembly adopt ordinance 2025-01 BE, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes Candies. Is there any objection? Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll object for reasons we've discussed before here. It's just a large dollar amount for this project. And I know we had a lot of public testimony on this and why it's this price tag, but I think there are ways to do it incrementally. So I can't support this. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Wall. I'll object for purposes of a question. Sorry, Mr. Barr, you get this question, even though you just came back into town. Has the price tag of $10 million been changed dramatically at all?
Madam Mayor, I do not believe it has. However, we do have Deputy Director Varelli online, and if we want to pull her over, she could likely give you an accurate answer.
Okay, we'll wait to have her be pulled over.
Director Varelli, if you could raise your hand, please.
Ms. Varelli, the question was, has the total project cost changed dramatically since our last discussion?
It has not. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, it has not. I would like to speak to the cost is because the stage portion is being built over the water, which a lot more funding has gone into it because the weight of the stage. So that's why the cost of the park seems higher than just, just building a stage on like solid ground.
Thank you for that. So I'll maintain my objection for basically the reasons Ms. Wall stated. I think that's just too big of a price tag right now. So with that, Madam Clerk, we have a motion with objection. Please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase e. Ms. Hughes Scandies.
Yes.
Ms. Wall.
No.
Ms. Atkisson.
Yes.
Mr. Steininger.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
No.
Mr. Brooks.
No.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
No.
Motion passes with 5 yeas and 4 nays.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 2.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution 4030, a resolution amending the title of ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase e.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This resolution amends the title of ordinance 2025-01BE to reflect the revised appropriation amount of $3 million for marine park improvements as directed by the Assembly during the Committee of the Whole meeting on September 29th, 2025. The original ordinance requested $3.5 million. The amended ordinance will be titled Ordinance 2025-01BEAM. Given the action that you just took, the manager recommends the Assembly adopt this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. No public signed up for this, so we will go to the Assembly. Ms. Wall.
I move the Assembly adopt resolution 4030 and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that motion passes. Item 3, Madam Clerk. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Item 2, sorry.
Ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase r, an ordinance transferring $5 million from CIP D12-051 Capital Civic Center to CIP's D14-105 HESCO barriers, additional phases, and D24-102 HESCO maintenance and repairs.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This ordinance would transfer $5 million of general funds and hotel bed tax funds from the Capital Civic Center CIP to the HESCO Barriers Additional Phases CIP and the HESCO Maintenance and Repairs CIP. $4 million of these funds would contribute toward ongoing overall protection costs like site preparation, armoring, environmental installation, and legal. For HESCO barrier installation along the Mendenhall River that do not currently have barriers, $1 million of the funds would contribute toward ongoing maintenance and repairs of the existing HESCO barriers and associated armoring. These funds were originally appropriated to the Capital Civic Center CIP to act as federal or state grant match for the project, but no grant has been secured, so the funds have remained unspent. The manager recommends the Assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. There's no public testimony signed up for this, so we will go to our Assembly. Mr. Brooks, please give us a motion.
I move ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase r, and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Any objection? Seeing none, that motion passes. Item number 3, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase n, an ordinance appropriating $762,900 to the manager for renovations to support the Capital City Fire and Rescue Sobering Center at the St. Vincent de Paul Teal Street facility, funding provided by hospital funds.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
The St. Vincent de Paul Teal Street facility currently used for the CCFR Sobering Center requires significant rehabilitation to improve the experience and safety for both clients and employees in order to continue operations. The Sobering Center is a vital community health program that serves Juneau's vulnerable populations while reducing demand on emergency services at Bartlett Regional Hospital. This ordinance appropriates $762,900 for capital improvements to adapt the facility for the Sobering Center's long-term operational needs. During the September 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Hospital Board of Directors, the directors passed a motion to pay for the Sobering Center renovations with hospital fund balance, the total of which will be applied to the voluntary repayment of the $2 million general fund grant appropriated in fiscal year 2024. The manager recommends the assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. There's been no members of the public signing up for this ordinance, so we'll go to the assembly, but first we need to stop at Ms. Hall. Ms. Hall, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, I would like to declare that I'm a member of the St. Vincent de Paul Board of Directors. However, I've spoken to the city attorney and my participation does not constitute a personal or financial conflict. And so I will not recuse unless you deem it necessary.
All right, I don't think we can deem that necessary. Mr. Steininger.
I'd also like to declare a potential conflict of interest. I serve on the Finance Committee for St. Vincent de Paul, and for the same reasons as Ms. Hall has pointed out, I don't believe it is a true conflict of interest.
Thank you for that. So we will bring it to the assembly. Ms. Atkinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Assembly adopt ordinance 2025-01, version B, large letter N, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that motion passes. Okay, item 4 has been removed, so item 5, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-29, an ordinance amending City and Borough of Juneau Code relating to reports of outside employment by borough employees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This is a housekeeping ordinance requested and drafted by the Department of Law to codify the timelines and requirements for submission of reports of outside employment. This ordinance clarifies that a report of outside employment or service must be submitted to a department director before employment or service commences. Employees must further report any change to this employment or service when the change occurs. The Department of Law will maintain the records pursuant to retention policies. The manager recommends the assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. There's nobody signed up for this for public testimony, so we'll go back to the assembly. Mr. Steininger.
I move the assembly adopt ordinance 2025-29 and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that motion passes. Item 6, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2024-01, lowercase b, uppercase b, uppercase b, an ordinance appropriating $4,261,464 to the manager to fund the City and Borough of Juneau and Bartlett Regional Hospital's fiscal year 2025 Public Employees Retirement System, PERS, contribution, funding provided by the Alaska Department of Administration.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This ordinance would appropriate just north of $4.2 million for the state of Alaska's FY25 4.76 PERS benefit rate paid on behalf of the CVJ and BRH, distributed as follows: Bartlett Regional Hospital, $2.2 million, City and Borough of Juneau, $2 million. Funding is provided by the Alaska Department of Administration, authorized by passage of HB 268 during the 2025 legislative session. This is a housekeeping ordinance to properly account for these on-behalf contributions to the state-managed retirement fund and has no impact on the CBJ or BRH finances. The manager recommends the assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. There's nobody signed up to testify on this ordinance, so we'll go to the assembly. Ms. Hall.
I move ordinance 2024-01, lowercase b, uppercase b, and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that ordinance passes. Item 7, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase j, an ordinance appropriating $125,000 to the manager for fiscal year 2026 cold weather emergency shelter operations. Funding provided by general funds.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This ordinance appropriates $125,000 of additional general funds for cold weather emergency shelter operations this year. The cold weather emergency shelter operates from October 15th through April 15th and is Juneau's only low barrier emergency shelter. The shelter's primary cost is personnel, and it is scheduled to operate this year with 10 full-time equivalent employees. Additional costs this year were incurred to account for sick leave coverage to comply with ballot measure 1 in last year's state election. Our contractor budgets an additional 20% for overtime associated with coverage during emergencies, peak guest nights, and staffing shortages. Other significant costs in cold weather emergency shelter operations include facility costs, janitorial, laundry, blankets, food, and transportation. Assuming nightly operation and an average of 55 guests per night, fiscal year 26 cold weather emergency shelter operations will cost approximately $43.30 per guest per night. The manager recommends the assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. There's been no public signed up for this ordinance, so we'll come back to the assembly, but first we have to stop at Ms. Hall.
Again, I'd like to declare a conflict as St. Vincent de Paul is the contractor and I'm on their board of directors, but have no personal or financial gain from this.
Thank you. Mr. Steininger.
And similarly, I'd like to declare I'm on the Finance Committee for St. Vincent de Paul, the contractor in this appropriation.
Thank you. So, Mr. Smith, no, wait, sorry, Mr. Kelly, this is to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase j, and ask for unanimous consent.
We object for a purpose of a conflict, apparently. Mr. Brooks, sorry.
I would like to declare that my business provides services for St. Vincent's Laundry. However, I spoke with the attorney and my participation does not constitute a personal or financial conflict, so I will not recuse myself unless you deem otherwise.
All right, thank you for that. Does anybody determine? I'm seeing shaking heads no, so sorry, Mr. Kelly, to interrupt. I will remove my objection. Any objection? I'll object for purposes of a question. And Mr. Barr, how much, this is in addition to, how much are we currently spending?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the total amount of our contract this year is $435,000. That's the total amount. So what we currently have is 435 minus 125.
Thank you for that. I'll remove my objection. So seeing no objection, that motion passes. Item 8, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase h, an ordinance appropriating $1,857,300 to the manager for the City and Borough of Juneau's fiscal year 2026 Marine Engineers Beneficial Association, MEBA, and unrepresented employee negotiated wage increases, funding provided by various sources.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
This ordinance appropriates $1.857 million for CBJ's FY26 Marine Engineers Beneficial Association, MEBA, and unrepresented employee negotiated wage increases. The FY26 adopted budget included 2% of the 3% wage increase approved for the current year. This appropriation provides authority for the remaining 1%, along with lump sum payments of $2,750 per employee, and increases to standby pay, shift differentials, and tool allowances. Negotiated wage and benefit adjustments for FY27 and FY28 will be included in the manager's proposed budget for each respective year. The manager recommends the assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. We have no public testifying on this, so we'll go to the assembly. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move ordinance 2025-01BH and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that motion passes. Item 9, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase L, an ordinance appropriating $15,000 to the manager for the Departure Lounge ADA Elevator Capital Improvement Project. Funding provided by Airport Capital Reserve Funds.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This ordinance would appropriate $15,000 to the Departure Lounge ADA Elevator CIP. These funds would contribute towards architecture costs to identify locations and associated expenses for an elevator in the Departure Lounge. The total cost of the design and installation is currently estimated at $2.5 million and has been deemed eligible for the Federal Aviation Administration funding. The manager recommends the Assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Manager. There is no public signed up for this ordinance, so we'll go back to the Assembly. Ms. Hughes-Gandes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Assembly adopt ordinance 2025-01 BL, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes-Gandes. Any objection? Can't move your hand, Ms. Hall. You get. See, none.
Mr. Brooks,
Oh,
yeah.
Mr. Brooks, go ahead.
Just an objection for the purpose of a question. Is the 15,000 coming from the general fund, or is it from the airport fund itself? And if it is coming from those funds, is that something that could be justified through FAA funding as well?
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and Mr. Brooks for that question. My understanding is that the $15,000 is coming from airport funds that the airport has set aside for capital reserves. And in general, my expectation would be that, that's good to know, that these are match dollars. However, I was just informed that the airport manager is online, and it would be best to have him confirm that information if we can pull him over.
All right, we'll pull him over because then I have a question for him. Good evening, Mr. Delgado. So the question is, in a nutshell, where is the funding coming from?
Good evening, Madam Mayor. To answer that question, funding is coming from the Airport Capital Reserve budget.
Mr. Brooks, does that satisfy you, or do you need a follow-up?
That's good. Thank you.
I'll object for purposes of a question also. I'm a little confused of why we need an elevator in the departure lounge, because we have an elevator that gets people up to the second floor and they have to go through TSA anyway. So can you talk a little bit of why the need for this?
Of course, Madam Mayor. So once you go past TSA, that is considered a secure area. If there were to be any kind of situation requiring an ADA person to get down to the ground level via ground boarding, currently the only way to do that is to exit TSA, back out into the unsecured area, and then back out onto the aircraft apron through unsecured spaces. This elevator would address that situation so that no one would have to exit the TSA secured area.
I'm not sure why I follow that. I'm not sure why we would have to go out, because I thought we had gateways to all the planes now. Is that not correct?
Well, correct, yes, but we saw this situation arise about a year ago when we began doing the ramp rehabilitation project. And we had to do ground boarding at gate 6 that does not have a passenger boarding bridge. We saw ourselves having to transfer people out of the departure lounge, again, through the exiting the secured area, back out onto the baggage claim area and out onto the ramp. Once someone is cleared through TSA, it's best to keep them, what the TSA likes to call sterile, because that ensures that TSA has cleared that person to board the aircraft, so to speak.
All right, thank you for that explanation. Mr. Burke, remove your objection.
I remove my objection. Thank you.
Okay, and I remove my objection. Any further objection? See no objection, that motion passes. You might as well stay on the line because the next one's an airport question too. Item 10, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-01, lowercase b, uppercase o, an ordinance appropriating 25,000 of the manager for the Air Traffic Control Tower Capital Improvements Project, funding provided by the Airport Capital Reserve Funds.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This ordinance would appropriate $25,000 to the Air Traffic Control Tower, ATCT, CIP. The ATCT is airport-owned but federally operated, which limits traditional funding for structural improvements. It has been announced that federal funding may be made available for projects that are ready to begin work. Funds appropriated through this ordinance would allow the airport to begin preliminary design work, ensuring the airport is well-positioned to compete for and secure this rare funding opportunity. The manager recommends the Assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. We have no public signed up to do testimony on this item, so we will bring it back to the Assembly. Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Assembly approve ordinance 2025-01BO and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that ordinance passes. Thank you, Mr. Delgado, for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 11. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 2025-38, an ordinance amending Chapter 3.15, Special Offices to include non-departmental office designation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Deputy Manager.
This ordinance designates the department utilized by the Department of Finance to recognize revenue and expenses not associated with a regular department, all capital projects and debt service funds as a special office in the CBJ code. The establishment of non-departmental in code allows the transfer of unencumbered budget and funding between capital projects by the manager per CBJ Charter 9.11b. Transfer requests for capital projects will continue to be brought to the Assembly on the consent agenda. The manager recommends the Assembly take public testimony and adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Manager. We have had nobody sign up to testify on this item, so we'll bring it back to the Assembly. Mr. Brooks.
I move that we adopt ordinance 2025-38 and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that motion passes. Next, we go to unfinished business. Doesn't look like there's been any, and new business. That item has been pulled. Is that correct? That is correct. Madam Clerk is nodding. So next we go to staff reports. Election report. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. In your packet, I have included a statistics memo. Just pulling the page number up here now. Page 85 in your packet. And I would take any questions if you have any for me.
Shy group today, I have a question for you. We get this asked all the time. So the total number of CBJ registered voters is 28,000, giving us a town of 31,000. How come there is so many registered voters?
We use the state of Alaska's voter registration list, and we have a lot of flux. We have a lot of people move in and out of Juneau, and it can't, per the state's website, the Division of Elections page, on their homepage, if you scroll down, they'll explain that it could take up to 8 years to remove someone, and it's not something that they can just do. So there's a lot of individuals on the listserv to get removed.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Mr. Brooks.
Do you notice any trends where people only vote within the district that they live in?
Not necessarily. It looks, I could follow up with you with a better to the group on that, but no, not necessarily.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, did you have a question?
I did, thank you. I guess I just wanted to ask, was there any, I mean, and maybe you can't disclose it yet, but any indication that, anyone voted fraudulently on in the ballot, got a ballot and voted that wasn't theirs?
No, I don't think that's really been an issue. We have a really well set up system where every individual has a barcode and you cannot submit a second ballot. And in order to get that barcode, you would have to receive that barcode either in person at the vote center or in mail. Your signature is then checked against a signature, a reference signature on file that we have. And also your personal identifier is confirmed as well, which would be like the last four of your social, the birth date. That is the only way to get a ballot through. And we have a system that scans all of those ballots and will spit out and flag if another ballot comes through with someone who's already voted.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report. Next, we have our assembly meeting calendar. Has anybody noticed anything that we didn't catch and need to change? I'm noting now, December 5th is our assembly retreat. Please be there in person
For 2026.
for 2026. Thank you. We're talking about the December 2026 calendar, so that's.
If I may note, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, Madam.
The retreat this year is December 6th, and we've reserved the airport Alaska room.
Thank you for that. Any questions, anything, see that we missed? With that, I need a motion, Mr. Smith, to adopt that.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move that the Assembly adopt the proposed meeting calendar for year 2026 and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that is adopted.
Madam Mayor?
Go ahead, Mr. Kelly, sorry.
Thank you. I just objected to just follow up to Madam Clerk stating about how this year's retreat will be at the airport. I guess I was just kind of wondering how that would be handled for the public wishing to observe any of our retreat. As some members, I think we have parking passes. Is there going to be a way for the public to attend free of charge if they would like to observe our retreat?
Yes, we will check with the airport manager.
And usually, Mr. Kelly, all they have to do is bring in their pass and they get a sticker. So,
Sounds good. With that, I'll remove my objection. Thank you.
any further objection? Seeing none, the calendar is approved. That's it then? Okay, we'll leave it on there just in case. Okay, next I am handing out, so on the mayor's report, I apologize, the Visitor Industry Task Force I'm pulling for tonight. Still thinking on that. Still want to review a couple things and get a little bit further input, and so that is getting pulled, and we may see it at the COW or we may have to see it at next meeting, but just want to make sure we get that right the first time. Next thing on my mayor's report, our Washington DC trip that Ms. Kester and I were going on the 4th has been canceled because of all the government shutdown, and one of the main reasons we were going there was to talk to the NRCS about View Drive and a potential buyout program, but they have all been furloughed. So, and several of the other agencies that we were going to visit have been furloughed. So we will be looking forward to doing that in January, February. So, talking to, and these are all for flood related things. Plus we were going to check in with the Coast Guard, back there, but we will not be doing that till January, February. Just a reminder of everybody that we have a meeting on Thursday, October 30th for the GLOF, all things GLOF at 6 o'clock, and that will be back in the chambers. So, and then I've passed out the draft assembly committee and liaison reports. You have all seen this at this time, so I will need a motion, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would move that the Assembly approve the proposed 2025 to 2026 Assembly Committee and Liaison appointments as presented. And I'd ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Seeing none, that is approved. Things are going to start right away, so please get with your committees and with your boards and committees. So, and just a reminder, especially to Mr. Brooks, who is new, that these are liaison positions. They are not advocate positions. So they're liaisons. We sometimes have to remind each other why we're doing what we're doing. So with that, we'll go to committee reports. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Committee of the Whole met on September 29th. 5 things on the agenda. We heard from Goldbelt about their proposed Goldbelt Ani project. We heard from Chief Boss regarding the internal review JPD did after an incident this summer and policy changes they made there. We provided direction for the manager about entering into an MOU with the U.S. Coast Guard for housing to successfully homeport the store's crew. We heard about outburst flooding mitigation from phase 1 repairs and also midterm mitigation. And then we also discussed the Marine Park item that we approved earlier tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Wall, Finance. I don't know that we've had a finance meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We haven't had a finance committee meeting, but looking ahead a week our next finance committee meeting will be a week from this Wednesday, and we'll be talking about the impacts of the ballot initiatives and kind of kicking off our budget process early here, since we'll have some decisions to make about this year's budget and then how we want to walk through next year's budget process given those substantial changes.
All right, thank you for that. And if you didn't have a calendar, that's November 5th, sorry. And we will look forward to your using your talents of process to help us through that. So next we have Ms. Hughes-Candies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Public Works and Facilities Committee had for our last meeting, we worked on the Marine Park pricing and looked at that and different options before sending it back, which we just approved this evening. And we also talked through our prioritization process and learned that the date will be slightly different, that Assembly members will be asked to weigh in on our legislative priority ranking. So you'll get that communication from staff, but it's going through all the different committees and just kind of went over that process and had a chance to ask questions.
Thank you for that. And next we have Ms. Atkinson with Human Resources.
Human Resources has not met since our last Assembly meeting, so I have no report.
Perfect. So, all right. And we are switching chairs around, so we will look forward to new reports at our next meeting. Any liaison reports? So we'll mix liaison reports and comments and questions. We'll start with you, Ms. Hughes-Candies. That's why you sat at the end. So we always start with you.
Not my favorite. I always liked having a person. Thank you, Madam Mayor. As far as liaison reports, I will report that I have been out of town for 2.5 weeks. And as such, based on the last time I reported, I have nothing to report. I missed my committee meetings while I was gone.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Planning Commission met, I believe, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, to talk about legislative priorities and put in their draft rankings. For us, I wanted to key people into, they have a meeting tomorrow that might have some things of interest. There's 2 rezones that will ultimately, depending on the Planning Commission actions, come to us. My understanding is the recommendation from the director is denied, so that might get interesting. So we'll all have to pay attention at some point, potentially.
Campus Council also started meeting again, given the school year is getting started. Some of you may have seen one of their big headlines over there at UAS these days is they are now offering in-state tuition to everyone. So a new initiative to bring more people from outside of Alaska up to UAS. So it'll be fun to see what happens there. And then just for my own comments, I wanted to highlight, I know we'll talk about priorities as we move forward here as a group. I just want to flag that short-term rental regulation continues to be a high priority for me. I think even more so than it was before the election, given that, our housing tools have always been develop city land, financially and put money out there and financial incentives and regulation. And as we have less resources to develop city land and put money out there for development, then regulation is where we'll need to focus even more. So I know there's some press saying we weren't going to do anything. I'm hoping that I believe I have majority of support on this assembly for doing some things coming up here. So just want to say that out loud.
Thank you for that, Ms. Wall. Our new Lands and Housing Economic Chair and I have already discussed that as a topic very soon, so. Mr. Brooks, welcome. Nothing to add? That's okay, you don't have to say anything. All right, we'll just go to Ms. Atkinson.
I'll be short and say I have no report for similar reasons to Ms. Hughes-Candies.
Thank you, Mr. Steininger.
Eagle Crest Met had further updates on the gondola project. Their board retreat is this Saturday, November 1st. So if you're interested, it's all day if you want to spend your Saturday learning about Eagle Crest. Parks and Rec, similar to other committees, discuss capital project priorities, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Steininger. Ms. Hall.
Thank you. And Juneau Commission on Aging met this past Tuesday. And, we're going to have a presentation, but that presenter wasn't there. So they did give an update on the status of the gyms. And it does sound like staffing for Marie Drake has been a bit of a holdup. So hoping that that can be resolved. The Juneau School District Board has not met since our last meeting, but they are meeting tomorrow night, Mr. Brooks. So get to go from the frying pan into the fire. But they did have a facilities meeting on the 25th, and the Zonta playground was discussed, as was rally funds and the Mendenhall River School, the riverbank mitigation or armoring that's being done there. And I also want to highlight that for the playground, they are having a fundraising campaign for the equipment, and that is Buy a Brick. So please go to the school district website and consider making a donation, buying a brick. So that's it for my report.
Thank you, Ms. Hall, and I see Ms. Hughes-Candy's hand, so perhaps she forgot something. Ms. Hughes-Candy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for coming back to me. I'm not accustomed to going first. I was rattled. I just wanted to say officially thank you welcome to Mr. Brooks, and it's exciting to have a new face on the Assembly, but also he's not here tonight, but just extending my thanks out to Mr. Bryson for his years of service on the Assembly. Always appreciated working with him on issues of, trying to help those least sort of fortunate in Juneau, or trying to correct issues of inequity. And that was something I really enjoyed partnering with him on, and just enjoyed the time and the friendship and the service. So he's not here to hear it, but I just wanted to say that, and thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Since last time that CSWA met was at the Southeast Conference in September, they normally meet the first Wednesday of this month, or of each month, but I think with the new leadership, they didn't schedule anything this month, and I just got an update today that they actually don't have anything scheduled yet for next month. So I'll try to keep you guys posted on that. The Housing and Homelessness Coalition met on the 16th. One thing that was noted was that a lot of the organizations, the heads of them who have been coming to the meetings have seen a lot of turnover in the last couple of years, and the co-chairs are currently looking to kind of move on into other roles. So it sounds like Mr. Dave Ringel is planning on seeing the seeing the committee through the pit count. I'm not sure about Miss LeCount, but we'll see. So there may be some yeah, they're looking for leadership there. Travel Juno, they last met on the 9th. They a couple interesting things. I guess we were going to be hosting the Visitor Industry Convention next year, but instead they decided to go on a cruise ship for the next convention. So that's been delayed until 2027. And we actually had somebody come and testify during public testimony, asking for Travel Juno's support on basically, I guess it almost sounds like Disney World. Kind of an attraction that would basically simulate both flying over a kind of local area and also going under under the water. So it simulates both being in an aircraft and being in a submarine. And they're going to be coming to the Planning Commission for approval on a variance, and they were asking for Travel Juno's support on that. And it sounds like Travel Juno has indicated kind of general support for the project. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dachshund Hubbard's met at the end of September, reviewed capital priorities, as well as are working on marine passenger fee proposals, as well as many of the numerous projects Dachshund Harbors is always working on. JDC met last week to flag, the little booklet with the indicators, housing vacancy rates and demographics and all that should be coming out, I believe in the next couple of weeks. There may be a little event, so something to keep an eye out for. I also met with some of the team at JDC. They've been pursuing a community land trust model, or actually a community land trust exists in Juneau. They've been looking at ways to maybe amplify it. Maybe something from me at the retreat about that, but we'll see. Title 49 met on September 24th. We hadn't met in a good 5 or 6 months just due to summertime. The fact that the phase 1, wave 1 ordinance had been worked on, and Mr. Dumichel doing other work, but we reviewed the phase 1, wave 2 proposal that has now been introduced and is now going to work its way through the Planning Commission and other process. So we will see that and see how it goes, but should be seeing that in a couple of months or so. Also, just again, kind of reoriented members. We are meeting tomorrow at noon. And the big thing there is to discuss and try to provide Mr. Dumichel some guidance or ideas on the table of dimensional standards. So starting to dig into some of these other topics as we, as part of the Title 49 rewrite.
Ms. Wall, do you have a question for Mr. Smith?
I do. Could you just maybe give an overview of some of the things in Wave 1, Phase 2?
Oh, good question, Ms.
I
Wall.
can find out later if you can't.
I don't have where.
Why he
Yeah,
looked that up.
maybe I can.
We
Yeah,
will
give
go
me
to
a
Mr. Barr because we
Perfect.
see Mr. Wheeler in the audience. You wanted to say something too. Someone who thought he'd never sit through another assembly meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity and wanted to take that opportunity to introduce Mark Wheeler, our new Parks and Recreation Director. We had a long and I would say comprehensive and thorough recruitment process. Many of you likely already know Mark, has been in the community for a long time, formerly quite some time ago on this body. I'm excited to work with Mark. I know the department is very excited to have a director and looking forward to lots of good things and good work to come. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and we appreciate your service in the past and your service in the future. Would you like to say a couple words? And why he's making his way, you can blame him. He's one of the people you can blame for me being on the assembly, because I asked him how he juggled business and being on the assembly, and he provided me a path forward. So thank you.
I thought I told you not to. No, it's a real pleasure. I look forward to working with all of you, and I'm just really passionate about Parks and Recreation, and really means a lot to making this town a place to live and work and raise a family. And I look forward to your support of all of our initiatives. Thank you.
I'm sure they'll be great and revenue generating.
That's right. Thank you.
With that, we'll go back to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the little time there. And thank you, Ms. Wall, for the question. Some of the key things that are brought up, one is adding into code something about reasonable accommodation, essentially kind of creating a process so that if someone experiencing a disability maybe needs to do things that are just slightly different or don't perfectly fit into existing code, it allows like a process to do that either through the director or the planning commission. I think it's mostly through the director, hopefully. Also subdivision on arterials. I'm still trying to fully wrap my head around it, but it definitely allows it allows subdivided parcels along arterials that they can be on. It used to be that they had to meet the minimum lot size for D1, which is like 36,000 square feet. Now they can meet it for the minimum lot size of the underlying zoning district. So essentially, you can now have you can have houses, subdivision, smaller lots instead of having this big requirement. And then a number of the other ones were a lot of like housekeeping and removing errant code and things that just didn't exist, or there was weird reference or something. So just to clean up there.
Any further questions, Ms. Wall? Thank you for that.
Break it down for me further.
I'm happy to send you some memos, Ms. Wall.
Thank you for that. Mr. Smith, do you have anything else?
No, Madam Mayor, thank you.
All right, with that, anybody else have last time we're on? So we have no presiding officer reports. Continuation of public participation on non-agenda items. I certainly don't see any members of the public too much here unless any of you want to say anything. I get shake heads. So with that, we will go to you, Mr. Smith, to move us into executive session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Assembly enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters which may tend to prejudice the reputation or character of those persons being discussed, namely City Manager Katie Kester and City Attorney Emily Wright. And I ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any objection? Public have any objection? Seeing none from either side, we will go into.
Just for purposes of a question, will we be meeting afterwards to make any decision in the public?
We will meet afterwards, but I don't know that we will be broadcast. I'm looking at the clerk.
Yes, we will be. So we will have a separate Zoom link that I have sent you, Mr. Kelly, and then we will return to this online for those who'd like to remain online with us.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And Ms. Lawhorn been on Zoom all night, Ms. Wall, and she said she'd be happy to talk to you about the Title 49 questions. So thank you, Ms. Lawhorn, for hanging in there with us. So with that, we will take a 5-minute break because we haven't had any breaks while we get transferred over. There you go. Look at that. Thank you. I do not, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, we'll bring us back into session. We were in executive session talking about the compensation for the city attorney and city manager. Ms. Atkinson, would you give us a motion? Report and motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For City Manager Katie Kester, I move a 3% COLA wage increase with a one-time $2,750 lump sum payment effective on July 14th, 2025, and a 3.5% merit increase effective on September 8th, 2025. This would make Ms. Kester's annual salary $228,384 retroactive to July 14th, 2025, and $236,371.20 retroactive to September 8th, 2025. And if I can speak to my motion?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. These are recommended because they are similar increases to that of unrepresented CBJ employee would make, and mirroring that of MEBA. And with that, I ask unanimous consent.
Thank you for that. Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Next, Ms. Atkinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to City Attorney Emily Wright, I move a 3% COLA wage increase effective on July 14th, 2025, and a 7.75 merit increase effective on August 25th, 2025. This would make Ms. Wright's annual salary $193,648 retroactive to July 14th, 2025, and $208,665.60 retroactive to August 25th, 2025. And may I speak to my motion?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The 3% COLA wage increase is the same increase that unrepresented CBJ employees would make in line with MEBA's increase. The 7.75 merit increase would make sure that Ms. Wright received the same amount as her predecessor when he left CBJ employee last year. With that, I ask for unanimous consent.
All right. Any objection? Seeing none, that motion passes. Ms. Kester is not here. But just to speak nicely about her, she's done a heck of a job, and Ms. Wright is here, and she's done a heck of a job, and she got an outstanding evaluation, so we appreciate that, and she had by far the highest ratings from other departments, so thank you for turning the law department around, and hence why we recognize you so highly, so thank you for that. And I'd also like to thank the committee, Ms. Atkinson, Ms. Wall, and Mr. Kelly, so appreciate that. Anything else before us tonight? Remember, we're going to see each other on Thursday, Monday, and then Wednesday. All right, with that, we are adjourned.